didn't have any.
Welcome in the kitchen. We're gonna have us a French dip sandwich for supper and some fries. The mister just came in and brought us a bag of steak fries, not French fries, but steak fries. I think they're all about the same. And I'm cooking our mushrooms right here. I started out this morning, we were going to have a roast, and I cooked us a roast in the slow cooker. And it's done. And that's what we're going to make our sandwiches out of. That wasn't my original plan, but it's what I decided I wanted. So, the butter back there out of the way. Y'all can see over here I've got some mushrooms cooking right here. And I'm not putting any salt or anything on them because I got plenty of seasoning on my roast. And I've got some provolone cheese to go on it. And here's our buns. We've got these deli style rolls, it says. Let me turn this over. And we'll get 3 of these babies out here. Right like that. Now I'm just browning these up nicely. Just grilling up some mushrooms. Andy's got his ball game on. It's an old one. Here's our buns. Have to kind of open them up a little bit. I don't want to open them up too big because I don't want all our goodie to fall out. No, I don't. While that's doing its thing, I'm going to turn y'all around here. Can y'all see down in there? We're going to shred this up. I got 2 big forks right here. I'm going to pull that big piece of fat out. We don't want that in our sandwich. And I'm just pulling this with these forks just like you would a pulled pork or something. Just making a pulled beef sandwich, I guess. This one did not have a lot of fat on it. This piece did not. Here's a piece. I'm just pulling out those great big chunks of fat like this one right here. I don't think we want that. Alrighty. That got some beef on it. I think that's mostly all just fat. Alright, that wasn't too much fat. Trying not to scrape the bottom of my dish because it's non-stick and I don't want to mess it up. Alright, I'll bring y'all back around here so you can watch on the stove. Over here's where we're going to put our fries. Let's see what temperature is of our oil. I don't believe it's hot enough yet. No, it's not. Not even close. You see how these mushrooms are dry? They're not watery. It's because I hadn't salted them. Salt brings all the water out of them. Because I didn't salt them, they're just cooking dry like this. Which is what I'd rather have on a sandwich. You don't have to cook them to death. I might put just a hint more butter, you know, just because butter makes everything better. Yeah, butter makes it all better, doesn't it? About a tablespoon of butter right there. When I was going to let him tell y'all a story. Mr. Andy's having a better day today. His allergies have not been quite as bad. We've gotten some rain, and that has settled a lot of the pollen down. So he's feeling a little better today. I'm going to taste some of these mushrooms. They are yummy. Yummy. Alright, now then, I'm going to put our meat over there. I'm going to come tell my story. Turn that down all the way on low. When I put this in the, hope y'all can hear that. When I put this little piece of meat in the slow cooker this morning, I put some beef bouillon on it and some French onion soup. Now then, I'm going to let that cook a little bit. And I'm going to turn this right over here back on. And I'm going to put some water in it. See all that good brown broth there? I'm going to put a little bit of water in there and some more seasoning for our dip. Because you can't have a French dip without the dip, can you? All right. Turn that off, okay? I've got our stuff over here turned off. Let me grab us a thing here to cook our fries with. Oh, and it's ready. Our oil is ready. I'll turn y'all back around so you can watch me cook French fries. Or whatever that's worth. You want to tell them a story?
That hard up.
Entertainment, probably. Because this one's nothing a recipe.
So I put on my cardigan sweater and
slippers like Mr. Rogers, you know, he had that.
I'll raise you up here. You have to come over here a little closer. Whatever you want to tell them. Whatever story.
I don't know about that. Be careful what you ask for.
You need a good, clean story.
Oh well, I've got some better ones.
Well, this is a family channel, so.
Okay, let's see. Should I tell them about the air conditioner, the car, mom and the car?
The air conditioner?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, I'm gonna tell this story, and it's we've had some very unseasonable weather here the last few days. It's got like in the mid 80s here for early April, and that's just really extremely unusual. But now Mother Nature struck back at us. It's been a rainy day. It's about 50 degrees, so I'll tell a story about it being hot. This goes back many years back when they, well, not the covered wagon, but this is a story about my mother getting a new car. Now, my parents were never one to buy a lot of vehicles. It was always kind of our policy in the family to, well, you could buy a new vehicle, but you had to drive it till it dropped.
And we still do that.
Well, but then again, we don't have $1,000 month car payments like a lot of people
No, we do
either.
not.
So, of course, cars didn't last as long back years ago. But anyhow, we had a big blue Oldsmobile. It was a vehicle actually my mother had gotten from my uncle, actually, and she drove that for many years. And you know, that's when I was real little. She took me around in that. You know, that was one of those great ones. You know, back when you could climb in the rear window, you know, over the back seats, you know, and lay down back there, you know, and this and that. Of course, we were all safety conscious then, you know. That was back in the days where, you know, instead of strapping your kid into a seat like a race car driver, and strap them down to where you cut off all circulation, you know. The mother's number one safety procedure in the front seat was going like this. You know, giving it this. You know.
Like my arm's going to keep them from going to the you.
But anyhow, one day, I guess the old blue ghost was getting pretty old. And one day Mom came in from work and she announced, I'm going to be getting a new car. I'm buying a new car. And she heard through the grapevine, I guess, from people at work or whatever else, that there was a place down Morristown that they had a new Buick LeSabre, and it had been a driver's ed car, I believe, which is a big deal, you know, or something. She's getting some great deal on it, you know, which in reality she probably wasn't. But anyhow, it had like 3,000 miles on it or something, but it'd never been titled. So, you know, I guess the dealership just kind of let it still used or whatever else. But anyhow, we went down to Morristown to get it, which is about 50 miles from where we are right now, and went down there to get it. Now, first let me say, my mother and my father both, they were very, very fine people. They were very stylish dressers. They always wore really nice clothes. They always looked really nice. They had really good taste, great taste in clothing. But when it came to automobiles, their taste was horrid. And I mean horrid. Horrid. They would like buy the vehicle on the lot that no one else wanted. It could be incredibly ugly, and that's the car for them.
And my daddy had to have everything red.
And my mother for some reason, she really loved green cars. Green? Now, the only green car I've ever seen that I like is like a really, really dark green. It's like a British racing green. It's almost a black. But that's as far as their son got with one liking a green car. This car went down there. It was like celery green. Big boat. You know, these were those big, 70s boats, those that had the complete couch in the front of it, this and that. And it had like a darker green, kind of like almost a paisley pattern in the seats. And of course, I was still excited despite the fact it was a hideous green when we got it. And, we went down there and we took Dad's truck. All three of us piled in the front seat, and we went down there. Of course, Dad's truck was green also, which there was another long story there too. But anyhow, we went down there and go get that. I think it's got something to do with the family. My aunt, my mom's sister, she also had a green Oldsmobile. It was like a Olds 98, I think. It's one of those big boats too. It was green, but that was a darker green. It wasn't like a real dark green, but it was a dark green. Oh, and it was ugly. The worst part was, it had green fabric upholstery in it, but no one ever touched that green fabric upholstery. It was like once it left the dealer, it was never touched by human hands again. I do not know where she got this though, but anyhow, I guess it was brand new. They did the dealer, which they probably charged an enormous amount of money for it. But anyhow, it was encased in clear plastic.
Yeah, they used to do their furniture that way too.
It was a heavy clear plastic, and it encased the entire seats. Well, now, I guess the theory is, well, you don't want to get your seats dirty and this and that, but who in the hell wants to pay a fortune for a car, a new car, a big Oldsmobile at that, and sit on flipping plastic for the next 20 years or whatever else? And I mean, it would get hot. Lord, it would get hot. You talk about it. It's like the plastic was just going to melt on your hind end, and this and that. It was just horrid. But, no problem though. You can take it through the car wash and just take the hose and just hose it out, But Andy thought that was funny. I kind of got sidetracked on that one. But anyhow, back to the car dealership in Morristown. I can't even remember now. Oaks Motor Company. That was the name of it. Oaks Motor Company. And I was excited because we were getting a Buick. Now Buick, if any of you ever remember back in the days, General Motors had 5 divisions. Well, actually, they had 6 divisions. If you want to count the GMC truck, you had Chevrolet, you had Pontiac, Oldsmobile, Buick, and Cadillac. Now Chevrolet, that's just for the regular old poor old people, just plain Jane cars, Pontiacs, they were a little bit higher grade, but they had a lot of performance in the Pontiacs, like a Firebirds and it's not a GTO, so a little more exciting. Oldsmobile, they were kind of the middle road, they had more comfort to them, they had some more features, That's the kind that, your middle managers drove and this and that and everything else. But now Buick, you get up to Buick now, that's the kind like the bankers drove, and this and that. That's starting to get a big deal. Now don't confuse that with the Cadillacs now, because the Cadillacs were often for people, especially older people, that they wanted to show if they'd made it in life. That, we're now successful. We're going to buy a Cadillac, and we're going to make sure our neighbors all see us driving this Cadillac, which I got another rant last week. But anyhow, so
that's a story for another day.
The Buick's a little bit under the radar of the Cadillac, but it's still fancy. So, So anyhow, we went down there, and they made the deal, and of course, naturally, I was going to ride back with Mom in the Buick. I was not about to ride back with Dad in the old truck. So we get in there, and we start heading on home. Here we are cruising up the interstate. The interstate was new at this point back then. Yeah, I mean, we were just sailing up there in our yacht, you know. And, I was feeling just really, I wouldn't call Mom Admiral when I was first mate or whatever else. We were just sailing that big boat up there,
So you were Gilligan, she was the skipper.
Just sailing away right on that couch, as we went up the interstate, I thought, man, we got it made. And now here's the main crux of the story. It might not have been a big deal to anybody else this time, but it had air conditioning on it. Now that old Oldsmobile did not have any air conditioning. Well, it had 4 air conditioners on it. You cranked them down like this.
Yeah.
And but.
Oh, did it not have the extra little ones in the front?
Yeah, it had those. Those are for ventilation. They used to make those back then, and they quit making those in 1968. Anyhow, so here we were, cruising up the interstate, feeling like the wealthy class, just all cool, It's like 85 or 90 degrees, And we're going by, you can go down the road, you see some car right here, and they got every window in the place open, every window at all, and there's this guy right here, he's got sweat dripping down his forehead, And you're just looking over like, look at these poor devils here. And just going on up down the road, you see people standing over in the yards and fields, and they're all hot, and here we are, we're cruising this big banker's Buick, going up the road here, we're just great. And we continue on up the road, we get on up the road about another 30 or 45 minutes. And soon, the excitement of the new cars starting to wear off just a little bit. And this newfangled thing called air conditioning. I fully embraced it when we first got in the car. That blast of cold air, me and the hot air, and I'm like, this is the way rich people live. And so, but as I'm going up the road, I'm starting to notice, it's getting a little bit like January here instead of July. And I'm thinking, I'm starting to get a little cold. But I ain't going to say anything because rich people, obviously, they're immune to this stuff, because they don't get cold like this, Because it's those, and we can see those poor devils out there dying of heat stroke, Who am I to complain about it being kind of cool in here? And we keep going on up the road, just going along, sailing away. And finally, I'm starting to get to where I feel like that certain vital functions of my body are starting to shut down from living in this walk-in freezer. And my teeth are starting to chatter a little bit. Finally, I guess I decided I'm going to be an ungrateful son. Here living in this luxury. I said, Mom, I said, I'm getting cold. And I said in my best apologetic, tone, because I really was feeling guilty about it, because, here I was, these people dying of heat stroke out here, and here I am, I shouldn't complain about frostbite. No, these people are dying out here. And I said, Mom, I'm getting cold. And she kind of comes back, she's kind of sheepish herself too, and she says, I am too. She says, but I'm not sure how to turn this air conditioner down. and she fiddles with it for a while, and suddenly she clicks the right button, and no longer are we in Siberia. We're just like in the upper peninsula of Michigan in January. But slowly but surely we figured out how to use that lever, and start reducing a little bit. And by the time we get home, we don't have that many icicles to knock off of us. But we come home and it's a wonderful day because we're feeling rich. But I never knew rich people got so cold.
Well, I want to add to that story just a little bit. I had gotten, this is back over 20 years ago, gotten the first car I ever got that had heated seats. And it was like cold January. And she was riding with me, and I had turned her seat on. And we're in this car and going along the road, and all of a sudden she goes, "My butt's hot." She didn't know that we had heated seats and that, we could turn it down. But she just thought there was something wrong with my car that that her butt was hot.
See, that's how far down we've gone.
So,
Ooh, like the poor people. Mom felt like she's like those poor people out there having that heat stroke.
I'm making us our sandwiches here, and I've got this. I'm gonna show y'all what her daughter brought to us. She was on a trip. She went to Williamsburg, and a friend of hers said to go to this place called the Cheese Shop and to get this dressing. I don't know what's in it. It's a mayonnaise-based dressing. Y'all, it is good. It really is good. So if you're up that way, stop in, have you a sandwich.
You can tell we're country pigs. I say it all the time. I've always said mayonnaise.
It is mayonnaise.
There's no man in it.
What is it? Mayo.
It's mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise.
And I'm guilty of that. I'm completely 100% guilty of that.
Yeah, well.
We don't say it properly because we're
Is it a hog or a hog?
hot.
Is it a dog or a dog?
I mean, it's like, let's look at old Duke here.
Duke?
It says mayo. It does not say M-A-N.
Mayonnaise. M-A-N-N-A-I-S-E.
Mayonnaise, not mayonnaise. M-A-N-I-Z-E. Mayonnaise.
Oh, well. Yes, I'm country.
Well, I am too.
That's just life. I'm about as country as they come. I'm just an old country bumpkin.
It's called being a rural rube.
Country bumpkin. And I did put provolone cheese on this while he was telling his story so that it could melt good. All right. And know this, I can hear y'all asking me right now, this sauce dressing does not have cheese in it. I did look at the ingredients and it lists some spices, mayonnaise, mustard. Mayonnaise, it is mayonnaise. It'll always be mayonnaise. Mayonnaise, mustard, spices. I just don't know what they are. I don't know what all of our spices are. But I'm going to show you our sandwich right here. Look at this. We'll put us some fries on here. Look at this. Doesn't that look like a wonderful, wonderful sandwich for supper? It's going to be delicious, y'all. It is. So, with all that being said, stories and all, we're going to go over here and sit down at the table and eat our supper. Yes, we are.
Supper?
Our supper. Dinner. What is it? Dinner's the afternoon. Supper's it.
No.
Supper.
Dinner is the largest meal of the day.
Oh, okay. So this is, well, I guess this is our largest meal. So this is dinner. We're going to go have dinner, you all.
Now in the South,
Sometimes you have
well, it can always be, the noon meal on Sunday is always Sunday dinner.
Sunday
but
dinner.
that's usually always the largest meal of the day anyhow, because on Sundays. So
All right.
you have Christmas dinner.
Christmas
Thanksgiving
dinner. That's right. All right. Well, we're going to have our dinner or supper or whatever you want to call it. Our evening meal or just a sandwich, or we're going to go over and sit down
Chomping
and
on some belly timbers.
eat us a bite. And I will see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.